Welcome to this explainer. If you've been anywhere near the news lately, you know that the situation surrounding the 2026 Delhi protests has turned into this incredibly dense web of competing narratives. I mean, it's a massively complex story with so many moving parts, spanning over 50 universities nationwide right now. So my goal today is to help you detangle it all. We are going to break this major youth movement down step by step, using publicly available info to map out exactly how a campus issue evolved into a massive nationwide conversation. We've got some fascinating ground to cover, so let's just get right to it. I want to kick things off by posing a central question directly to you. Has this student movement been hijacked, or has it just been amplified? Keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this explainer today, because it's really the core tension we're trying to unravel. As we peel back the layers here, you'll see that the answer to this question honestly depends entirely on whose perspective you're looking from. To actually grasp what's going on, we need to look at three distinct forces shaping the narrative: the students, the politicians, and the social media narratives. Section 1. The Spark. Education Reforms. Let's zoom all the way into ground zero and focus strictly on the students. Because to understand a movement of this size, you always have to look at the spark. This whole thing initially started as a super localized issue over alleged examination irregularities. We're talking confirmed reports of leaked test papers and scoring glitches in the central science departments. It was a highly specific academic grievance. But fast forward a few weeks, that initial frustration organically snowballed into massive, organized, student-led demonstrations. And that brings us to the present, where those localized campus protests have basically ballooned into a broad national debate. It is literally a textbook example of how a very specific grievance can ignite a nationwide fire. Now here's the absolutely crucial point. Despite the massive scale this has reached, the students are sticking to their guns. Many continue to state that their primary focus remains completely grounded in their original intent. Their core demands are actually pretty straightforward. They want systemic education reforms, greater transparency in the exam processes, and strict accountability for the leaks that kicked this whole thing off. It's so vital for us to conceptually separate these grounded facts, what the students are actually asking for, from all the crazy noise that has developed since. Section 2. Enter political and civil groups. All right, let's take a step back from the campuses and look at the first layer of escalation. As these protests grew, the crowd got a lot bigger than just the student body. We saw this huge wave of new participants enter the fray. Opposition parties, civil society organizations, high-profile activists, the whole shebang. These external groups have taken a super active role in supporting or even directly participating in the demonstrations. And as you might guess, this sudden influx of non-student participants is exactly what triggered the widespread questioning about whether this movement is being influenced by wider political agendas. Section 3. Support versus distraction. And this brings us right to the overarching political debate happening right now. When outside groups crash a localized movement, what's the actual impact? Well, the public discourse is pretty heavily split into two competing perspectives. On one hand, you have the argument that political involvement totally strengthens the original demands. The logic here is that activists and opposition parties bring in resources, national media attention, and heavy institutional pressure that the students simply couldn't generate on their own. They amplify the voice, right? But then you've got the flip side. The counter-argument is that this involvement is a massive distraction. Critics argue that politicians inevitably bring their own historical baggage and broader agendas, effectively hijacking the students' localized demands and turning the whole thing into a generalized anti-establishment political rally. Both sides are fiercely debating this right now. Section 4. Separating facts from speculation. Okay, let's zoom out to the outermost layer of our narrative onion, the digital noise. In any modern event of this magnitude, social media plays a massive role, so we need to put our investigative hats on and parse through it. To really understand this objectively, we have to draw a hard line between what's verified and what is just rumor. First up, the claim of exam irregularities. That is publicly substantiated. The original grievance has a factual basis in verified reports. However, the claims of foreign influence and external funding, which are going super viral right now, by the way, currently sit squarely in the speculation column. They are circulating everywhere on social media, but they have absolutely not been publicly substantiated yet. It is just so incredibly important to check the facts against the narratives when you're consuming info about a rapidly evolving event like this. And honestly, that brings us to the ultimate goal of this explainer. My job today is just to lay out the publicly available information neutrally for you, to show you the structure of the movement, the demands, and the outside players. But it is completely up to you to separate the facts from the narratives. I highly encourage you to examine multiple credible sources, prioritize verified data over social media speculation, and form your own conclusions about what this historic protest really represents. We're giving you the puzzle pieces, but you have the tools to put them together and cut through the noise. I want to leave you with one final stark thought. In the sheer noise of the digital age, is it even possible for a student movement to remain strictly about the students? I mean, when an issue gains this much traction, it inherently acts like a magnet for politicians, activists, and digital algorithms that just thrive on broader narratives. It's a fascinating and, yeah, a somewhat daunting reality of modern civic action. Thank you so much for joining me to detangle this complex issue today. Keep asking the right questions.